Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of This Week in Magic Online Finance. My name is Chaz Andres, and we've got a very special episode on our hands this week. It has been, no joke, the most buck-wild week in Magic Online all year, and perhaps in several years. And that is what we're going to talk about today, because friends, there is something that is brand new and very cool, and it's shaking up everything on Magic Online. Today, we're going to talk about Pioneer. For those of you who maybe were sleeping under a rock on Mars for the past week, Pioneer is a brand new Eternal format sanctioned by Wizards of the Coast, designed to supplement both Modern and Legacy. It's one of those no frills, no muss, no fuss Eternal formats, no signature spells or weird deck building stipulations or anything like that. It's fairly simple. Everything from Return to Ravnica up through the present day is covered and is legal in Pioneer, with only one exception right now, which is the Khans of Tarkir fetch lands. Everything else, you can play it, at least for now. Aetherworks Marvel, Dig Through Time, Smuggler's Copter, Rampaging Ferocidon, it's all legal in Pioneer. So Pioneer is huge news for the world of paper Magic, but it is massive news for the world of Magic Online. Anyone who's been paying really any attention to MTGO over the past year knows that it's mostly become a platform for modern and more modern. Most of the standard and draft play went over to Arena, and so people have just been dialing up their modern decks on MTGO. Well, now we have a brand new Eternal format, and you can't play it on Arena. You have to play it on MTGO. And a lot of people who canceled MTGO and sold their collections, well, they're coming back home. And prices, well, you'd better believe they're going up. Now, I'm not going to spend too long having a victory lap here, but I really hope that longtime viewers of this series took my advice last fall when I went hard against the grain and told you not to panic sell your Magic Online collection. I said that MTGO wasn't circling the drain, that Modern wasn't close to being implemented on Arena, and that prices would rebound and rebound hard. All of that happened, and it happened before Pioneer was announced, but this is a really big cherry on the sundae of being happy that you still have an extensive Magic Online collection. Because now we have yet another Eternal format, and MTGO is once again front and center. At some point, yes, Pioneer will be implemented on Arena, but we're not even close to that happening, and in the meantime, MTGO is going to be where it's at for deck building and testing and tournaments in Magic's most exciting new format. As for Modern, I'm not going to worry about it. Seriously, prices may drop over the short term, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later in this video, but long-term Modern is absolutely safe, and your Modern collection is not in danger of losing significant value. Seriously, look at the economics here. WotC has a lot of money to be made in Modern with sets like Modern Horizons and Modern Masters, and they're not going to abandon the format. It is still going to be a big part of Constructed Magic going forward. WotC even said this straight up in their announcement, and I see no reason not to take them at their word here. As for Legacy, I expect that format to sort of continue falling into the background of competitive Magic, but that's been happening for about a decade right now, and the players who are significantly invested in Legacy and playing it a lot aren't going to abandon it anytime soon. The format really does unique things that nothing else is going to do, so, it's not going to see a resurgence anytime soon probably, but it's not going to die overnight. The format that seems most likely to me to be affected by Pioneer's arrival is Arena's historic format. That format was already a bit of a head-scratcher to begin with. It's just like, oh, your cards that have always been on Arena, plus random things we can add at any point, and who knows what's legal in this. That format is dead on arrival, honestly, unless something major changes, and I don't think that one's ever going to really show up in paper Magic. At some point, it's probably going to be replaced by Pioneer on Arena, too. Let's move on now to the cards that have gone up in price the most due to Pioneer's arrival on MTGO, because honestly, there have been some really epic gains this week. And the cards that have gained the most ground are Jace Vryn's Prodigy, Mana Confluence, Liliana the Last Hope, Thoughtseize, Nexus of Fate, Walking Ballista, and Collective Brutality. These cards have all really gone nuts. Now, I'm highlighting these cards specifically because they're all modern legal cards that shot up more than 10 tickets due to play in Pioneer. And Mana Confluence was the biggest gainer of them all. Last week this was a modest 5-ticket rare, now it is a 38-ticket rare and continuing to rise, good for a gain of 33 tickets week over week, or a 670% increase. That is what Pioneer is doing to Magic Online right now. Honestly, I could sit here and spend about half an hour listing off cards that saw a significant price increase due to Pioneer this week. Pretty much any card that was any good at all from Return to Ravnica on till today has increased in price, generally by 4 to 5 tickets, sometimes doubling or tripling in value. Everything from Breeding Pool to Soulscar Mage to Oath of Nissa, they're all up big this week, and a rising tide lifts all boats, but Pioneer is more like a tidal wave picking up the boats and throwing them onto shore. Seriously, go and take a look at the value charts, because your collection almost certainly is worth quite a bit more now than it was last week. The big question then is, what happens now? Obviously, Pioneer is in a bit of a honeymoon phase right now. It seems like anything and everything might be playable in this wild new format, so anything and everything is increasing in price. That won't happen forever. At a certain point, we're going to start to see some actual results from Pioneer tournaments, and the cards that are clearly good in the best decks are going to keep going up in price, while the pretenders are going to drop off and fall back to their pre-spike prices. Now, I'd tell you that the smart money is in selling everything into the hype like it usually is, but I wouldn't be surprised if Pioneer remains a Wild West format for months to come. WotC said straight up in their Pioneer announcement that they are going to be very active in banning cards, especially early on, not even waiting for banned and restricted announcements, so that they can ensure that the format is properly balanced. And what that means is that a lot of the key combo cards in the deck, either Works Marvel for example, may end up dominating early on before getting the axe, and multiple combo cards, or probably aggro cards like Smuggler's Copter, maybe some big control pieces, they're likely to get the axe before the end of the year. And with a flurry of bannings and a risk of bannings every couple of weeks, well, people are going to keep trying out fringy strategies every time a new card is banned, and that's going to lead to prices staying much higher than they would be if the metagame settled down. At the moment, I'm not really selling any of my Pioneer cards, and honestly I think the format has room to grow. I'll be probably trying to sell any combo pieces I have into the hype if they start doing really well early on, but honestly most players are going to be too smart for that strategy to work out all that well. Either Works Marvel is only about a ticket and a half on MTGO right now because most people understand that it probably only has a very limited amount of time in Pioneer before it's getting the axe. And other than that, people are going to be running out and buying whatever staples they don't have as top decks are established, and I don't want to risk selling off the next big Pioneer piece. So for now, I'm just holding my collection even as prices continue to rise. It's also important to look beyond Pioneer right now, especially because you're going to get a really nice window to buy into Modern over the next couple of weeks. People right now are selling their unused Modern staples in order to buy into Pioneer, and that's resulted in some pretty serious price drops. For example, Renin 6 is down about 35 tickets this week, and Force of Negation is down about 15, and that is solely because people are selling what they can to generate event tickets fast, because they need to buy cards like Mana Confluence for Pioneer testing. This price drop hasn't seemed to reach bottom yet, but it does appear to be leveling off, and I wouldn't be surprised if at some point over the next week these prices sort of settle in and become really solid buys. Remember, people still need to test Modern on MTGO, so at some point before the next Modern Mythic Championship, these prices will rebound. Definitely wait for them to hit bottom, but it's going to be free money at some point, and you definitely want to monitor Modern prices very closely soon. Lastly, we need to end the week by talking about a pair of standard legal cards into Fairy Time Raveler and Oko Thief of Crowns. These two were among the very biggest gainers of the week, with the Fairy Time Raveler gaining 40 tickets, going all the way up to 72, Oko gaining another 25 tickets and ending the week at 88. Again, Pioneer is primarily responsible for these two cards' increase in price. People haven't drafted much on MTGO over the past year, so sought-after staples from recent sets have the potential to be incredibly expensive on Magic Online, especially now that they're needed for Standard, Modern, and a brand new Eternal format. Throw all of those things together in a bag, shake them up, and you've kind of got the perfect Storm for some absurdly expensive cards. I honestly have no idea if these two cards can actually sustain their current absurd price tags. I suspect not, but also I've been telling you that Oko would drop in price every week for the past 3 weeks, and I've been dead wrong every time. You need to Fairy and Oko to play a lot of the best decks across 3 formats now, and at some point you might just need to bite the bullet if you're gonna be playing with these cards on MTGO. You run the risk of getting blown out, but you know, Oko to Fairy, they're very, very good cards. And that's all I've got for you this week. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Chaz Andres, and I will see you again next Monday morning for another episode of This Week in Magic Online Finance.